All right, so we're gonna do a quick exterior run around on this. Overall, really good shape. It does have some light scuffs on the car, some like scratches from loading, but nothing really dramatic. The hard thing is with the plastic, it's not really easy to like buff and cut, you know what I mean? Doors are in pretty good shape. Get over to the other side here in just a minute and show you one I found. This wheel here, scuff down there. Kind of hard to see, but it's right into the shiny part of the wheel. A little more scuffs here on this front bumper, you can see. But lights and everything are all in good shape and work well. And plastics are also in pretty good shape. So right here, it'll be hard for the camera to see it. Try to go from this way. But if you look at that paint line, you see how it's kind of distorting as I move the camera. There's a little crease here, and then you see a little bit of blue paint transfer, probably from a door. Most likely like a truck or an SUV with a flat edge. They do have like the edges protected on this, which I love that, without having like that big bulky thing. And I believe they have like just the edges, right? So another thing I always like to say, this does have factory glass with the eyesight. That's important. Sometimes the aftermarket glass just freaks that system out, and then you're just spending all your time trying to get it to work, and it's just a hassle. Being that the car is still under your 3-year 36,000 miles, you still have access to this. It's free for all new Subaru owners, this being a 24. Take advantage of that if you ever need it. And then tires and everything look really nice. They are the factory tires. These tend to wear out by like 30,000. I know the factory tires were more for like comfort. These are doing really well at 15, so looks really good. I'm gonna stop there. All right, so this is gonna be our engine bay portion. So boxer engine, it's a flat 4. Tops of the cylinders are up here, so these are your heads on both sides. On these engines, they are chain driven nowadays. They have a lot better head gasket system in there. They're just an overall better design. They are direct injection now as well, so that kind of ticking sound, that's your direct injectors firing. You want to hear those. If you're not hearing them, you might have an issue. You probably have like a rough idle and stuff anyways, but it's good to hear those. On the Subarus, these front are your cam sensors. That is the most common thing for leaks on these. They look really dry underneath. The plastic also looks dry, nothing really down there. Usually you'll see like pooling down here if they like mess up on the oil changes and stuff like that, but it all looks really good. Just went through recon, so it's all been cleaned and everything like that. Filter's been changed. Transmissions are sealed, and your front diff is part of the case. They do have separate fluid units, but they're all checked down there. There's no real dipsticks like the older ones used to have. Factory battery. And then brake fluid looks nice and clean. No power steering fluid because it's an electric assist on here. So overall looks really good. Other thing we look for down here is your crash rail, right? So this is the frame essentially on these cars. They don't have like a true frame because they're a unibody. But right here, we always look at these, make sure those seams are nice and tight. Doesn't look like they've been worked on, or these bolts have been messed with. Everything's still lined up and just secure as it should be. And it all looks really good. No tomfoolery there. That's going to conclude your engine bay. Alright, so we always do like a scan of the bottom of the car. I start from the front like this because I always want to make sure we don't have anything hanging down or sagging. Make sure it all looks dry. Usually these plastics being wet means there's a leak above them. These belly pans will absorb quite a bit before you'll actually notice any kind of leak, so it's always good to kind of check those things. We're going to pause here and go to the lift point. Alright, so this is going to be the driver front corner where they lift the vehicle up at. You can see down here your subframe, and that pan there is actually your transmission. All looks really good, nice dry. Exhaust looks really good. It's not like rusting or flaking or anything. And then we'll go along this body. All looks really good. Rear lift point there, good shape. And then rear, like where the rear subframe starts. We're gonna go from the back. You can kind of get a good eye on differential. All right, so this is the rear differential. You can see your struts and axles and everything look really good. Low mileage, so that's what I would expect to see. One thing that did stand out to me, if you look right here, that is the, let's see if I can hold the mirror and point. Okay, so right here is where the crash support and the body of the car join. They have an undercoating on just that part on both sides. Okay, I don't know if that's something they do in the area, but the Subarus here, we don't typically do stuff like that unless it's been taken apart. Doesn't have a hitch, so I don't see a reason why that would be taken off. I don't see any signs of the bumper cover being replaced, and the muffler looks new, but the car's brand new, so it's hard to say. There's no ripples. I don't see any overspray except for that undercoating, and I don't see any mismatch in the color. It all looks pretty uniform. Alright, so this is our right rear lift point, also in good shape. Floor looks good. Up to the front here, a little dirt. There's some water on the road and just sprays stuff around. And then another side of the transmission, nice clean subframe up in there. All looks really good. Alright, so this is going to be the interior portion. So steering wheel here, lots to go over. You do have your shifters on the back. This is going to be your source radio channel skip and volume information for this screen, and then calls. This is going to be your adaptive cruise, so closer to the car, further from the car. Speed up, slow down, turn on the cruise on and off. This here assists you in keeping your lanes centered. And then you got sport and intelligent, so like eco and sport. And then current mileage, while we did our inspection, you are at 52,263, so still under bumper to bumper, which is 3 years, 36,000 miles on these cars. They do have powertrain up to 60,000 miles, so lots of life left on the warranties as well. The two lines you see here are where it's watching the lines as you drive. And then, let's see. So the lines that just appeared are going to be your cruise adaptive. You can go out and in. And then this button here, that's the assist. And it's all just activated right here with your thumb. And turn that back off. You do have the big screen on this guy, not the little one. So going home, all your little apps and stuff. Some of these you have to plug in for the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto down here. So keep that in mind. Some of them you can do it through Bluetooth. This, I believe, with the big screen you can do through Bluetooth. This little bar here is heads up, so it's like watching you to make sure your eyes are on the road, all that kind of stuff. And then this does have the camera system up in the window here. Factory glass, so you don't have to worry about that being mad at you while you drive around. Does have the backup camera. It does not have the radar, so like as you get close, the beep beep beep, it does not do that. It's not something that's equipped on the car. Usually you'll see like little circles in the bumper or something like that. Auto climate, heat works really good. AC gets nice and cold. This does have start stop automatically, so the car will turn off if it feels like it doesn't need to be running. You just push this button to stop that if you don't like that feature. With Subaru, you have to do that every single time you start the car. And then this is going to be your car settings. So this is how you like change all your assists. So like auto vehicle hold, the steering responsive headlights, all that kind of stuff. And then this button is your auto vehicle hold for hills, like just so when you let off the brake, it doesn't lunge. All right, we're gonna stop here and open up all the doors. All right, so we are on the outside looking in. This is your driver door card, good shape, no damage really. It does have the factory carpets, a little bit dirty underneath though. It's really nice and clean, so they've been there like the whole life. Manual seats, no power. You'll see, I'll show you on a couple seats, you can kind of see some stainage on there even after being cleaned. Stuff like that kind of bothers me. I know like a good detail shop could probably get them out. See more back here. So they probably have some little ones back here. More charge ports here. Door card here in really good shape. Auto windows only on the front, not the rear ones. Seatbelts and everything look good. Little knob here to fold the seats down on the hop sides. All right, passenger rear, door card here in really good shape. So a couple more of those little stains. Seatbelts, good shape. This is the only side with a pocket, and it's like a leather seat back on these, so easy to clean, but easy to scratch, so keep that in mind. More carpet covers back here underneath, really good still. And then over here, passenger front door card in good shape. Some more stands on this seat, and then same thing here. Carpet looks good. And then that glove box still has the damper and sealed owner's manual seal, which is really nice. And then you have your 12 volt on this guy right there. In the console, just a deep pocket. And this has no sunroof. Headliner's in really good shape. Didn't see any issues there. Alright, so this is your trunk or liftgate or hatch. This does have the all-weather Crosstrek mat in here. Looks like it's been in here for pretty much its whole life based on that. Does have the little knobs for like cargo nets and stuff to add onto there. No nets or privacy cover underneath. I'm going to pull this out, pause here. I'm going to pull this out and pull the floor just because it's like a folding floor, so I can't hold it and hold the camera. So just give me one sec. All right, so this is your spare underneath this folding floor. As you see, it's kind of flimsy. Tools, everything's where it needs to be. These don't have like an emergency first aid or anything like that in there. Floor pan looks really good. Seal's nice. No water or anything down below. Sits in there perfectly. So, and then the all-weather thing, you just flip up in here, and it'll literally just lock in place like that. Boom, quick as that. And then they do have the latches here on the middle seat belt. Down here, there's a way to detach that, so when you fold that down, that belt's not in your way. That's the only thing I would say when you fold those down. But that is your trunk. No power, so good old-fashioned just do it yourself type stuff. No waiting around. That's your trunk. So let this focus. This is going to be our code scan portion here. So we always go through and just scan everything on the car. I always like to make sure down here our VIN matches what's on the car. As you can see, we do have some faults here. A lot of them are going to be history. We do have some current codes. I took pictures of all these modules that were relevant to you. Some of these are low voltage or lost communication as well. And like I said, a lot of them are history. There are some current ones, and they are all in the individual picture part of this inspection. Essentially what it looks like to me is the car either had a dead battery at one point, or the battery was disconnected for something, and a lot of the history stuff was there. A couple codes like the door switch was stuck on or open, and the light sensor switch, I have the light switched to off for scanning the car, so I don't know if that was part of it, but the switch is also working good. So some of these are kind of just older codes essentially being history, not stored. So keep that in mind. Like I said, they are all pictured individually in a different part of the inspection. We're gonna move over to the monitors. All right, so this is our monitors. These are all going to be active sensors that are checking parameters in certain things as you drive, right? So misfire, comprehensive. Green checks are all what we want to see. We'll move down a little bit. Now the gray circles, a lot of these are going to be monitors that are incorporated into other things, right? So like your secondary airing system is part of your emissions, so it could be tied into EGR, it could be tied into the catalyst monitor. So sometimes they'll tie some stuff together just for redundancies to eliminate that kind of stuff. All checks out good. We did about 12 miles on the drive, so that's what we want to see. All right, so this is going to be our conclusion aspect. Overall low mileage, 1-year-old car. Everything's overall pretty new. Car drives great. No issues with the shifting. I know these don't really shift, but you can kind of feel if they're having an issue more or less than if they're working fine. Brakes really nice. Steering's really good. All the safety senses work and do what they should. For me, the Subarus have always been really sensitive, so they really kind of hang back for a while before they get close to traffic when you use the adaptive. Some people, it drives them crazy. You have to turn off your forward collision to disable that, so just keep it in mind. This does also have auto start stop, which you have to disable every time you're in the car if you don't like that. It's just something Subaru does. You can't get it messed with because it's an emissions thing and we're not allowed to play with that stuff. Really light, a couple scratches on the bumpers and door. Overall really good. We did have some codes in there that we took pictures of for you, just so you kind of have a good idea of what history was in there. For me, it looks like this had to be jump started or the battery was disconnected for some kind of work or a recall even. Just something to look over. The other note in the rear here was the undercoating on the joining part where the crash support and the body meet together inside that bumper. You can see like there's no real difference in the color here. Didn't find any paint lines or any noticeable gaps. None of these bolts have been messed with up here, so it's not like there was a ton of work. I think it was just maybe treated based on the area it might be originally produced or sold at. Other thing is, on these cars, they're not like the quickest things. They do really well for your day-to-day, get you where you need to go without any kind of headache. They're really reliable overall. I know Subarus with the engine design are really sensitive to maintenance, so make sure that you're on top of your oil changes, you get your services done regularly, and the car should treat you right. And then my other thing was the inside. Those seats are showing some stains. With this new of a car, it's probably something I would address. And that's going to be our conclusion.